I wanted to recite some Tehillim, Psalms. The words of David HaMelech are so powerful. They really, really are. I'm going to do it in Hebrew first, and then I will. What I might do is I might do it in Hebrew and then translate line by line, so you get an idea as going through the Psalm of what King David is singing about, and what we can connect to. I'm increasingly finding Tehillim just so fascinating and just unbelievably deep. When you really go into it, and you don't just read it. A lot of people are encouraged to read Psalms and Tehillim, like we do it all the time as part of prayer. Most of Shacharit, most of the morning prayers is full of Psalms. Mincha has one Psalm in it. Sephardim have one in the evening as well. I'm not sure if Ashkenazim have them. I don't think so. And then over the holidays and on Shabbat, again, we add in more Psalms. Special occasions when it gets to Tisha B'Av and all of these different occasions, we're always adding in Psalms, different things for different times. But we don't really stop to think about what these words mean and what we're saying. So I might try to do this every now and again, see how it goes, see what the reaction's like to it. People like it, you can do it again. I'm going to start with Psalm 44 today. So Mem Dalid. So this psalm is about the difficulties that the Jewish people face as a result of being the nation of God. So 3,500 years ago, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created or gave the Torah that was already existed in some kind of primordial kind of form, and it actually existed before the world was created. But in terms of the time it came down into what we have today as the Torah and our understandings of the Torah and so on, when it was given over through Moshe Rabbeinu, we have faced difficulties. I remember reading once that one of the reasons for anti-Semitism in the world, if you look at it on a spiritual level, that the word for hatred in Hebrew is sinah. And sinah, we talk about sinat chinam, free hatred, where people was one of the reasons the Beit HaMikdash, the temple, was destroyed, because we had a hatred for each other which had no sibah, there was no cause for it. Sinai shares a similar root, although it's one is a sin. When we talk about sinah, we are talking about a sin, which looks like a kind of an E. And when we're talking about Sinai, the mountain of Mount Sinai, it's with the letter Samech. It's a different letter, but there is a linguistic sound connection between those two letters, and there's a link that's made that I don't know the source of the idea, but that the great hatred that has been displayed to the Jewish people for 3,500 years, 3,330 odd years, and even before the giving of the Torah, really comes from what the Jewish people represent, and that is the nation of God. It's what we're supposed to be. And sometimes maybe we feel within ourselves, we're not living up to what we're supposed to be, or we could do better. That's what the idea of Yom Kippur is all about. Yom Kippur is all about the idea of, no person has lived on the world and not sinned. Everybody sins, and I think it's a complete, it's a massive mistake for people to believe, both on the religious and the non-religious side, that people are perfect. They're not. People sin all the time. The idea of Yom Kippur is to specifically recognize that. Specifically recognize that that's an inherent part of our nature, but not to allow that to permit us to indulge in sin, rather to understand the flawed nature of who we are and try to work on the things slowly but surely to correct them and be better people, and be the nation that we're supposed to be, if we're Jewish people, and if we're not Jewish people, to be the best people that we can be, because we also have everybody has their role to play in the world. So I'm going to get cracking. I've already waffled now for pretty much 5 minutes, and I hope it wasn't too long of an introduction, but now I want to get onto the Psalm, what I'm going to do today. Psalm 44 again. So it's talking a lot, like I said, about it's kind of like harping back to the good old days, about how God was with us back then, and now we kind of suffered through these exiles. And this is David HaMelech writing 2,000 odd years ago. Okay, And he's talking about how the nations how we've been scattered even then. And he's obviously prophesying for the future. Okay. Lamenatseach livnei Korach maskil, to the chief musician, a contemplation by the sons of Korach. So Korach, I might commentate as we go along as well a little bit. Korach was the main guy who challenged Moses in the time. He was a very, very priestly guy, and he wanted all of the honor for himself, but he challenged Moses. He said, who says you're special? Who says you're going to be the leader among us? Who appointed you as the king to tell us what to do? It's a democracy. There should be no hierarchies. And he was actually swallowed by the ground. And there's commentaries that say that he's still alive under the ground somewhere. Korach. The earth swallowed him up from below, and also I think lightning or fire came down from heaven and also zapped him. So he was got both ways. And there's deep explanations about why that was. But anyway, his sons, we're told, did teshuvah. They made repentance. And actually, this song doesn't seem to be from King David. It actually seems to be from the sons of Korach. That's what the first line says. Elohim be'oznenu shamanu avotenu siperu lanu po al pa'ata bimehem bimei kedem. God, we've heard with our ears, our fathers have told us of the deeds you did in their time, in days of old. For example, the conquest of Eretz Israel. Ata yaddecha goyim horashta v'titaem tarah le'umim v'tishlachem. You with your hand drove out nations and planted them. You crushed peoples and sent them away. Ki lo becharbam yareshu haaretz uzroam lo hoshia. Lamo ki yeminecha vezeroacha ve'or panecha ki retzitam. For not by their own sword did they inherit the land, their own arm did not deliver them. It was your right hand and your arm and the light of your covenants, for you favored them. So the good old days. Atahu malki Elohim tzaveh yeshuot Yaakov. You are my king, God. Command victories for Yaakov, for Jacob. Bechatzarenu ninageach b'shimcha nevus qamenu. Through you, we gore our enemies. Gore like a bull with its horns. Through your name, we subdue those who rise against us. Ki lo vekashti eftach v'charbi lo toshi'eni. For I do not put trust in my bow, nor will my sword save me. Ki hoshatanu mitzarenu u'misanne'enu hevi shota. For you delivered us from our foes and shamed those who hate us. Belohim hilanu kol hayom v'shimcha leolam nodesela. In God we gloried all day long, and we acknowledge that this was your name forever. Selah. Af zanachta v'tachlimenu v'lo tetze betzivotenu. Yet, nevertheless, despite all of this, you neglected and disgraced us. You did not go forth with our armies. Tevishenu achor minitzar umsanenu shasulamo. You've made us turn back from our foes, and our enemies took the spoils for themselves. Titenenu kiatzon ma'achal uvagoyim zeritanu. You made us like sheep that are eaten and scattered among the nations. The exile is here in the Tehillim. Yeah. Tim koramecha belochon veloripita bimchirehem. You sold your people for a pittance. You didn't set their value high. Tesimenu cherpa lishchenenu la'ag vakeles lesivivotenu. You disgraced us among our neighbors, scorn and mockery to those around us. Tesimenu mashal bagoyim minod rosh baleumim. You made an example of us among the nations, a cause for head shaking among the peoples. It's difficult stuff. It's really difficult stuff if you think about these words. And also if you know the Hebrew and you start thinking about the roots of these words, like for instance the word mashal, you made an example of us. A mashal is is an analogy. So you made an analogy of us among the nations. People, and that's why they say anti-Semitism is the oldest hatred, and it's the most archetypal hatred in the world. This is what God did. Kol hayom kelimati negdi uvoshet panai kisatni. All day long my dishonor is before me, shame covering my face. Mikol mecharef megadef mipnei oyev umitnachem. From the voices of revilers and blasphemers, because of enemies and avengers. Kol zot ba'atnu velo shichachanucha velo shikarnu bivritecha. All of this befell us, yet we didn't forget you. We didn't deal falsely with your covenant. Lo nasog achor libenu vatet ashurenu mini ochecha. And our hearts didn't turn back, though you caused our steps to stray from your path. You know, it's kind of a little bit of saying, like, if you didn't send us into exile, we would have been better. When you crushed us in a place of, it says it's jackals here, but I think it's more crocodiles or alligators or something like this, some kind of desolate place where life doesn't really exist in the way that we can live, right? So you crushed us into this place, this unlivable place. And you covered us over in a place of the shadow of death. Had we forgotten the name of our God and stretched out our palms to a strange God? Would not God have discovered it, since he knows the secrets of the heart? So there were times over the last 3,000 years of exile, or 2,000 years of exile, where we were forcibly converted and we didn't have the strength to be in the land of Israel, to have our atzma'ut, and to have our ability to be strong. And even if we're not in the land of Israel today, the Jewish people get a lot of strength from the land of Israel and from the fact that half of the Jewish world live here. And that we've started slowly to build this land once again after being removed from it by God 2,000 years ago and coming back. We've now had the opportunity to start rebuilding, and that's definitely felt here. So if we would have been disloyal to that covenant as a people overall, then would God not have known it, since he knows the secrets of the heart? Now we're going to say to God in the next line, nevertheless, we didn't abrogate your covenant, even though we were going through tremendous suffering. Right? Ki alecha horagnu kol hayom nechshavnu ketzon tivcha. For we are killed all day long. For you, we are accounted as sheep for slaughter. He's describing a Holocaust here. He's describing a Holocaust, yet we still kept faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Unbelievable. Now we ask God to do something for us. Ura lama tishan Adonai hakitza al tiznach lanetzach. Arouse yourself. Why do you sleep, God, Lord? Awaken. Do not neglect us forever. Lama fanecha tastir tishkach onyenu v'lachatzenu. Why do you conceal your face and forget our affliction and oppression? This ain't part of the deal, God. It's time to remember us during this time. Ki shacha le'afa nafshenu tavveka la'aretz bitnenu. Our soul is stooped over into the dust. Our belly cleaves to the earth. Chuma ezrata lanu uftenu lima'an chastecha. Rise up, be our savior, redeem us for the sake of your kindness. And that's how the psalm ends. So I'll leave it there for now. Thank you for watching if you stayed with till the end. Let me know your thoughts if you like, if you don't like, if it was boring, if it was enjoyable for you, if you've ever looked at psalms in that kind of way before. I'm going to try to, as I said, try to do this depending on the reactions and what people like. Have a lovely evening.